Namaste. In this video, I am going to talk briefly on Moola Nakshatra. Always remember, each and every nakshatra is divine, is beautiful. However, it depends on what is the quality of your horoscope. If your quality is very poor, if you are a very cheap person, a negative person, if you are a person who likes to cheat others, then you tell me, if you are born with Moola Nakshatra, will that help? It will not. However, if you are a very spiritual person, if you are a very meditative person, if there is a certain quality to your horoscope, then this Moola Nakshatra will prove a great blessing in disguise. And that is why, even though in my own personal experiences, unfortunately, I may have interacted with people who were cheap and were born with Moola Nakshatra. That is why I had bad experiences with them. However, there are people born with Moola Nakshatra who have a certain quality to their chart, to their being. And to these people, I want to specifically mention that it doesn't matter whether you are born on Moola. It is not at all a problem. It all depends on the quality of the horoscope. It all depends on how evolved you are. And then, whether you are born on Moola or Adra, it doesn't matter. There are many beautiful men and women, beautiful souls who are born with moon in Moola Nakshatra. And as I say, it is unfortunate that whenever I had any consulting sessions with a person born on Moola Nakshatra, he has done something which is not in line with ethics. So I had bad experiences with these people. It doesn't mean that the whole nakshatra, that is Moola Nakshatra itself, is bad. If a seed falls in a bad soil, you tell me, will that seed help? Will that seed blossom into a beautiful tree? It will not. So it all depends on where the seed falls. If the soil is good, meaning the foundation is good, then even a bad seed will grow in a beautiful tree, will blossom. Even a weak seed will do well if the soil is good. On my Quora answers, I have shared many details on Moola Nakshatra. And in this video, I am going to talk more on Moola Nakshatra. Moola is basically a nakshatra that says, first you have to die so that you reborn. Now this death is the death of all your illusions, is the death of your ego. And so people born on Moola have to go through certain sufferings so that at some stage of life, they become aware. Now in a practical world, in a world where everybody wants everything to be goody-goody, it's obvious that people will not like Moola Nakshatra. Because everybody wants to be goody-goody in a comfort zone. And Moola Nakshatra is a nakshatra that pushes you to come out of the comfort zone. But as I see, the quality of the horoscope should be good. Jupiter should be positive and in a friendly sign. Only then this nakshatra of Ketu, Moola Nakshatra, can work wonders in your life. So let's begin with this insightful podcast on Moola Nakshatra. First, you have to die. Only then can you experience the truth. Only then can you experience God. Only then can you experience the true love. That is the message of Ketu's Nakshatra Moola. And that was the message of Jesus when Nicodemus came on a dark night to meet Jesus. And Jesus was sitting beneath a tree. When Nicodemus came, Jesus asked, "Why have you come to me? What is it that you want from me?" Nicodemus is one of the greatest scholars of Jerusalem. Not only he is the most wealthiest person, but also highly knowledgeable. And yet, he had come all the way to meet Jesus on a dark night. It is necessary to remember that everybody is carrying a dark night within them and nobody is even aware of it. It happened with Nicodemus also. He chose a dark night to meet Jesus, and yet he wasn't aware of the dark night, that is ignorance, that was within him. Nicodemus is a very old man, must be in his late 80s. He had been hearing a lot about Jesus, but it was a risk to meet Jesus during the daylight. Because what will people say? That a great scholar is going to meet a carpenter's son? That was not possible. Going in the daylight, it was impossible to meet Jesus, and so Nicodemus had to come to meet Jesus during the night, a dark night, a no moon night. And Jesus asked, "What is it that you want from me?" Nicodemus said, "I want to experience God." Jesus says, "Even to meet me you have chosen a dark night. How will you be able to face God?" Nicodemus says, "Then how can I experience God?" And to this, Jesus looks into his eyes and says, "You have to reborn." Nicodemus says, "What do you mean? I should go back to my mother's womb?" Jesus says, "To reborn, you have to first die. This death is not of your physical body. It is the death of all your ego, your notions, your ideas. Unless this death happens, you cannot reborn." Nicodemus gets down on his knees. He starts crying. Whole life was spent in gathering knowledge. Whole life was spent running behind respectability. And now this man, Jesus, had brought a certain light of awareness to his whole being. He started shaking. He touched Jesus' feet and Jesus blessed him. With every drop of tear, the old Nicodemus was getting dissolved, and a new Nicodemus was taking birth. Ketu's Moola Nakshatra is the state of this dissolution. Unless you dissolve, you cannot evolve. Dissolving is the nature of Moola, and you will dissolve only when your roots, which is Moola, are shaken. Moola means roots. From the root, the disease of illusion, Maya, should be dissolved. That is the whole message of Ketu, my fellows, and that is the whole essence of Ketu's Nakshatra, Moola. Always remember, the enlightened man, while alive in the body, is already dissolved. He knows he is no more. He knows he is a nothingness. The dissolution has already happened. Pada is secondary. Primary is the nakshatra in itself. The building is important. The apartments within the building make less impact than the building, that is the nakshatra. And so the focus should be on the Moola Nakshatra and not much on the Padas. Whenever any planet falls in Moola Nakshatra, the message is simple: dissolve. 7th house planet in Moola Nakshatra, marriage is dissolved. 4th house planet in Moola, happiness from mother, dissolved. 5th house planet in Moola, happiness from children, dissolved. 6th house planet in Moola, disputes, dissolved. It becomes a blessing in disguise to have a 6th house planet in Moola Nakshatra. 8th house planet in Moola, happiness from in-laws, dissolved. 9th house planet in Moola, happiness from father, dissolved. 10th house planet in Moola, career prospects, dissolved. 11th house planet in Moola, desires, dissolved. This can become a blessing in disguise if the path chosen is spiritual. 12th house planet in Moola, loss, dissolved. So again it becomes a blessing in disguise because the loss is now dissolved. The larger question is how this dissolution helps. It helps when you raise your consciousness, when you expand your awareness. Yesterday Mohan came, and Mohan is a man who lost his mother when he was 4 years old. His 4th house Lord Mars is in Moola Nakshatra. Happiness from mother dissolved. But God wanted something more from him. And so one afternoon, God took away his father. And Mohan was just 14 years old. Mohan's 9th house Lord Mars is also in Moola. Happiness from father dissolved. But Mohan had been such a beautiful person, always going with the flow. It is a different story that he had many successes in his life. But whenever anybody would ask him, what is it that made you so successful? He would answer back, the early death of my mother and my father. Moola dissolved his father and his mother too. And through this dissolution, a new Mohan was reborn. A great transformation happened within his whole being. He was no more the same Mohan. Transformation is closely related to Moola Nakshatra. First happens the dissolution, only then happens the transformation. The old has to be dissolved, only then the new can evolve. Moola Nakshatra therefore is one of the greatest transformation energy, my fellows. Without the divine touch of Moola, transformation is not possible. Without a shake-up, transformation is not possible. Without a certain pain, transformation is not possible. This pain is not to make you sad. Remember this. That's where people go on missing. This pain is just to make you more alert. Because people become alert only when the arrow goes deep into their heart and wounds them. When sun is in Moola Nakshatra, the ego has to burn, dissolve. When moon is in Moola Nakshatra, the illusions of the mind has to burn, dissolve. When Mars is in the Moola Nakshatra, the nature of fighting, arguments, bossing over others, ambitions has to burn, dissolve. Jupiter is in Moola Nakshatra, the thought of I am somebody has to burn. The verse of Bible, he must become greater and I must become less, is what Moola Nakshatra means when Jupiter is in Moola. Venus is in Moola, you had enough of pleasures. Now it is time to give you a nice shake-up so that you come out of the pleasure-seeking desires and evolve into a much matured person. That is the message of Moola. Mercury in Moola, you had been a hell of a logical person. Now it is time to dissolve the logic and move towards the real thing, that is love. Shallow people cannot understand the message of Moola, my fellows. They cry, they moan, they make a lot of noise. They even blame God. You see, the most ignorant person always blames others, because that way he finds an escape route. The ignorant man's awareness is not yet evolved. They cannot understand what God is up to, but God is perfectly aware of what he is up to. When Peter asked Jesus, "What are you doing?" Jesus replied, "You don't understand now what I am doing, but someday you will." Ignorant men and women are enslaved by the mind. They cannot realize. They cannot find happiness. Even if Buddha, even if Jesus comes to them, it is difficult. Because even if Jesus can take you to the well, but finally you will drink water only if you have the thirst. And Jesus says, "Those who thirst for me, for my love, will be blessed." In the Bible, it is mentioned, Jesus says, "Whoever drinks of the water that I will give him will never be thirsty again. The water that I will give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to the eternal life." Oh, so beautiful is this. In Hindu religion, Lord Shiva is addressed as the Lord of Destruction. This destruction is of all your illusions. This destruction is of your ego. This destruction is all of that which holds you back from experiencing God, from experiencing the divine. And therefore Lord Shiva is the Lord of Moola Nakshatra. Because unless the dissolving happens, unless the destruction happens, you cannot reborn. And Jesus is saying to Nicodemus, to experience God, to experience the ultimate truth, you have to reborn. I earnestly bow before the Lord of Lords, Lord Mahadev, Lord Shiva. Ketu is Swadharma, and therefore you all will see Ketu's nakshatras in Dharma signs. Ashwini, which is in Aries, is a sign of Dharma. Magha nakshatra falls in Leo, which is a sign of Dharma. Moola nakshatra falls in Sagittarius, which is a sign of Dharma. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. These are Dharma signs, signs of self-nature, signs of Swadharma. What is Swadharma? To reach your own self-nature is the only religion. To become that which you are is the only religion. That is why Krishna has emphasized Swadharma, self-religion. Self-religion or Swadharma has nothing to do with religions. The real meaning of Swadharma is that you settle into your own nature. Following your self-nature is self-religion. In the Gita, Lord Krishna asks Arjuna to follow Swadharma, which is self-religion. Swa is a Sanskrit word meaning self, and dharma means religion. Swadharma has nothing to do with the religion you follow. It simply has to do with your self-nature. When Krishna says to Arjuna, "Get up and shoot your arrow on those who are standing against truth," he is simply raising awareness to follow your self-nature. And if your nature is now standing against those who are utterly shameless, utterly sinful, then you don't have to bother if they are your brothers or grandparents. You simply have to shoot. Shoot, says Krishna, and Arjuna shoots, follows Swadharma. There is no head, no mind, only the instinct and the determination to follow Swadharma. Ketu is that Swadharma, because to follow your nature, you have to keep aside your mind, your head. Only then the arrow can shoot, only then the goal can be attained. This arrow, this quality of following the Swadharma, that is self-nature, is the quality of Moola Nakshatra. Amongst all the 3 nakshatras of Ketu, Moola is the most favorite of Ketu, because it is here that the destruction happens. It is here that the dissolution happens. And it is here through which the new world, the new life, the new man is reborn. Pain is necessary, suffering is also necessary, certain failures are also necessary. Pressure, Moola brings pressure. You all have seen how Mohan went through pressure. No mother, no father, and his age was just 14. Pressure came, and through these life pressures, Mohan changed. Mohan was transformed. Pressure, Moola Nakshatra, will either force you to death or help you to change. One thing is certain, either a man has to die or a man has to change. And under pressure, people change. The crop is able to provide quality grains only when it goes through the pressure of intense heat and wind and rainfall. Similarly, every man and every woman evolves into a beautiful flower, a beautiful dance, a beautiful poem when they go through certain pressure, certain pain, certain loss. Moola Nakshatra represents this pain, this pressure, this loss, and it is beautiful. It is beautiful because through this loss, this pressure, these difficulties, a certain awareness is born within you. And the moment awareness comes to your life, to your presence, a certain glow comes to your living. Then even when you are walking, people notice you. Even when you are talking, people notice you. Even when you are doing nothing, absolutely nothing, and still people notice you, because awareness brings a certain grace to your being. Then you are no more the same. Everything around you is the same, but you are no more the same. Once it happened, a young yogi was giving a discourse, and he was such a beautiful person, full of heart, a song, a dance, and he was speaking, he was sharing, and people were listening. When suddenly a man threw a shoe on him. But the young man was a man of awareness. Quickly he catches the shoe that was hurled on him, and with a smile he asks, "Where is the other shoe? How can I wear only one shoe?" Now the man who had thrown the shoe was baffled. This was something unusual. He thought the young man will become angry, will start abusing him, but nothing sort of it was happening. Instead, the young man was asking for another shoe so that a pair is available for him to wear. The man who threw the shoe wanted the young man to get embarrassed. But now he himself had become embarrassed. After the discourse is over, he goes and meets the young yogi and says, "Sorry, please forgive me." The young yogi says, "Where is the question of forgiving you? I haven't had any anger towards you, any resentment, any complaint. So where is the question of forgiving you?" But the man took to his heart. He went away, but for the next 4 months he would continue to write a letter asking for forgiveness. And the young yogi would find amusing that when there is absolutely no reason for him to say sorry, then where is the question of forgiving him? Awareness is the key. Once you become aware, then anger cannot attack you. Then whenever anger comes, you turn inwards and start looking from where the anger is coming. And the moment you start turning inward, the anger cannot haunt you. And you also don't have to control your anger. Slowly, you overcome the anger by turning inward, by becoming more and more meditative. Moola has immense significance in the whole gamut of astrology and beyond. Through Moola, the beyond is experienced, and so many yogis and saints are also born on Moola Nakshatra. People do some pujas and rituals to bring Shanti to Moola Nakshatra. It is like interfering with the nature. It is like interfering with the play of God, with the existence, and manipulating is not always an assured solution, my fellows. Many times it boomerangs, and Neem Karoli Baba mentions this in the most beautiful way. Neem Karoli Baba says, "It is very difficult to know exactly what good should come out of a particular situation. To attempt to manipulate circumstances so that your idea of good can come about is to let the ego play God, and that, as you know, can and does backfire." Always remember, what has to happen, let it happen. Yesterday Mohan said, "My son is born on a Moola Nakshatra. Now what to do?" I said, "There is nothing to do, just go with the flow." But people want to manipulate, and then to manipulate they go on interfering. Doing many pujas and rituals, unknowingly they are creating one more circle of misery. Because the more you manipulate, the more you try to find an escape route, the more you will have to come again and again in this human form to face that which you have been trying to manipulate and escape. Let life flow. Don't interfere. Just go with the flow. Let what has to happen, happen. You remain engrossed within. You remain focused within. Whatever is destined not to happen will not happen. Try as you may. Whatever is destined to happen will happen. Do what you may to prevent it. This is certain. The best course, therefore, is to remain silent, says Bhagwan Raman Maharshi. Silent. Silence is the language. Real communication happens through silence. And so let there be more and more silence in your life. In that silence, in that nothingness, you will see the first glimpse of God, and it is beautiful. Ketu has been the most unrealized energy, and yet it is Ketu that has brought realization to many human beings. Life becomes creative when you are in love with life. To be creative means to be in love with life. You can be creative only if you love life enough that you want to enhance its beauty. You want to bring a little more music to it, a little more poetry to it, a little more dance to it. Failures or success, pain or gain, when you remain in love with life, when you are bubbling with energy, then you become a blessing to others. Then wherever you go, you bring a glow. You bring a certain fragrance with you. This is how life has to be. This is how you have to be. And this is possible. This can happen only when the dirt within you is cleaned. This cleansing process is done by Moola Nakshatra. So do not fear the spiritual cleansing that Moola brings along. For the iron rod comes out shining only when it goes through the fire of suffering. The fires of suffering becomes the light of consciousness. Without the divine touch of Moola, consciousness is not possible. God is not possible. Love is not possible. Moola moves you to the highest peak of consciousness. It has the potential to transform you into a new man. The more you go through the pressures and sufferings, the more you start turning inwards. The more you are blessed, the more you would continue to meditate. And meditation is the only miracle that can and that does transform you into a new man. So come you all and meditate. 20 minutes every day. You have to find time because time never finds you. When a person says, I am just passing time, it is in reality the other way round. Time is passing you. Time is moving on, and it is moving very fast. Minute after minute, death is coming closer, and nobody knows when the last call is to come. It never comes with a fixed appointment. It just strikes anytime, anywhere. And so before death strikes, start turning inwards. Start looking within. That is the whole essence, and that is the whole purpose of Moola Nakshatra, to help you come back home. Nobody can push you. Nobody can make you walk. I can show you the way. Buddha can show you the way. The Master can show you the way.
but finally it is you who have to walk. Buddha says, I can show you the way, but you will have to walk. I cannot walk for you. Walk your way home, come back home, center of your heart. Come back to your root, Moola. When you come home, you come home, and the whole world, that is the mind, disappears, and then you find your peace. The key is to come back home. Be in the world, but don't let the world to be in you. Stay detached. Moola is detaching you. If you can listen to Moola, you will find the greatest gift. And if you cannot, then you will find the deepest misery. The whole essence is in understanding Moola, understanding Ketu, understanding Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Meditate. Jai Sri Ganesha. Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.